Welcome to this Windows channel, and this is the Tech News Update. We are Monday, February 19th, 2018. And today, in our Tech News Update, we have Windows Phone 7, Windows Phone 8 that are going to stop to have push notifications. Actually, it's kind of time to move on to something else. If you still have a Windows 8.1 mobile phone, a Windows Phone 8.1, you are still okay, but I don't expect that to last for very long. So maybe it's time to start thinking about the next step in what you will get as a smartphone. The desktop app that was available for Mac computers is going to be retired. It will stop working in the next 30 days. And of course, this is all in an effort to basically make sure that the experience is consistent across platforms, whether you're using a tablet, a PC, or whatever other device with Twitter on it. Well, interesting information that was leaked. Basically, Microsoft had not released this list, but it's a list of limitations, if you want, things that Windows 10 on ARM will not be able to do. And it was accidentally leaked, so this weekend. Some of the things that now we know is, for example, no x64 or no 64-bit apps will run on it. No Hyper-V, so no virtualization. Drivers will need to be ARM64 drivers. And basically, many games will not work. Now, it's interesting that they did not release that information, considering that if you know a little bit about tech, you kind of already knew that there's a lot of limitations probably on running things within Windows 10 on ARM, since it is very, very underpowered compared to a regular PC running on AMD or Intel. But it's interesting to see all that information for sure. Well, Google is at it again, and Microsoft is extremely mad. Google has disclosed a security flaw in Microsoft Edge on Friday. And basically what happened is, of course, Google always does the same thing. They discover a flaw. They tell the company, so in this case they told Microsoft, hey, there's a flaw in Edge. But Microsoft took more than the 90 days that is required. Now, Microsoft did ask Google to have a little more time because it was a little more complicated to fix than they previously thought. So Google gave them 14 days. And now it's expired, so Google said, hey, there's a security flaw in Edge. Now, Microsoft says it will be fixed in the next update on Patch Tuesday of March. The reason why they're waiting, it's not that big of a flaw. It's a flaw that's kind of a moderate flaw, meaning that without physical access to your PC, there's really not that much of a danger. But it also brings back the idea that maybe Google should just, keep quiet, because it does create a sense that maybe security might be at risk because they tell about these things all the time. Windows Insider Program is about to have a shift in the way that it actually is working. So what is happening right now is that they were looking at the data that Windows Insider Program is receiving from its users in the feedback. Now, they have considered that there's a big chunk of the data that is useless. Really, nothing you can do. Nothing useful in there. And another big chunk of data or feedback that is very, very good. And because it's been a few times that Microsoft or the Insider Program was kind of hit by, why didn't you see this or that? They are now focusing and will do something that basically is going to be called cohorts, meaning they will divide insiders into different categories. And these will be kind of focus groups. So everybody that is sending out really useful feedback is going to be in its own cohort. People that send feedback that is most of the time useless will be in a different cohort. And of course, there will be a mix of that, but the different cohorts will be able to make the Insider Program more efficient and have the real bugs and problems show up easily, instead of now being kind of washed out in the general, feedback that is in there, and there's tons and tons of it. So that's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen and how it's going to work. Well, Google is actually doing a little test, because one of the biggest problems right now, if you've ever called 911 on a smartphone, it's that the accuracy of where you are if you're not at home is somewhat deficient sometimes, and law enforcement or emergency services have a lot of difficulty finding where that person is. Well, Google has actually found a way to improve this, and they've been testing that out, and apparently it really makes a huge difference. And sometimes finding somebody a few minutes earlier might make a difference between life and death. So let's hope that this will be deployed everywhere. Well, in Puerto Rico, it is very interesting. The Project Loon is, of course, something that is balloons in the air that are trying to give out the internet to users. And of course, with the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico last year, infrastructure is still badly damaged. Well, a report now is showing that the Project Loon, that is having all these little balloons in the air, is actually right now giving more than 200,000 people their internet and all sorts of other services like smartphone services, and they say that it's working really well. So I think this is a great demonstration of how you can easily have a system that gives the internet in disaster areas. Intel is being sued by more than 32 different groups for the Spectre and Meltdown flaw. And the majority of the cases are all upon one major problem: Intel taking too much time to disclose the information and keeping it to itself for so many months. And of course, the different lawsuits are saying, well, we should have compensation because Intel was not really fair play basically in here, and that it creates a huge problem for most users. Well, net neutrality is in the news because we've learned today that the FCC will have to battle more than half of the US states, because more than half of the US states have decided, no, net neutrality is staying. We've decided for that. And of course the FCC says, well, you can't rule on something that is the FCC's ruling. So I think there's going to be a lot of legal battles and a very long battle for net neutrality in the United States. And Facebook is going to verify the location of advertisers by sending them a kind of little postcard. The problem is, what does it change? Honestly, it's easy for any group that wants to do bad advertising to just have somewhat of a space or a place in, for example, the United States, where the postcard can be sent. I'm not sure that's necessarily a great idea. And this was the Tech News Update for Monday, February 19th, 2018. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.